Ready. Thank you all for joining me for another episode of Media That Matters. I'm your host, Cornell Jermaine. If you missed our last episode with Pastor Donald Eason, you missed a great treat. He talked about the pulpit and politics, how they can agree, if they can agree, and what the church can be doing to help affect change in this global climate. But today I have a very special guest. He is, and I'm going to read because I want to make sure I get this correct. He is a cultural entertainment analyst, internationally renowned educator, writer, producer, musician, rock and roll Hall of Fame recording artist, lecturer. Wait a minute, we're not done. Co-founding member of the pioneer and revolutionary hip hop group Public Enemy, and the owner and host of Serious Minds Radio and Serious Minds Institute. Please help me welcome the one and only Professor Griff. Griff, how you doing? Welcome.
Man, it's a pleasure to be here, good brother. How you feeling?
Excellent. I start my interviews now, especially since all this is going on. Before I get into the content and all that, I just ask my guests, and I think this is so necessary. How are you and the family doing throughout this whole process?
We're doing fine, man. The business actually was thriving during this whole period because people were home and they was able to take advantage of what we had to offer as far as online classes and that kind of thing. Our health is fine. We're vegan, so the health is there. But you're gonna get normal, regular sick. You understand?
Yeah.
Regular sick is COVID, so I'm like, you can't even be regular sick no more.
Yeah, don't come around with a runny nose. I'll see you later.
Right. Somebody sneeze, it'll clear the block, man. It's like, damn, all right. But
wow, well, I'm glad to.
No, what were you saying?
Go ahead.
I was about to say, I don't know what bio you got, but yeah, this what's today's date? The 29th?
Yes.
6-7 days from now, they're actually going to premiere. I'm not premiere, but show my speech that I did for the Grammys.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, man. So I did the Grammy speech for the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I just said to myself, I was hesitant about putting it in my bio until I got it, but they actually sent it to me because of COVID. So I actually physically have it, but the whole ceremony thing is going down on the October 6th.
Wow, that's gonna be amazing. What without giving us too much, what was the experience like?
Oh wow, it was kind of challenging. Here I am sitting in a place where they normally give concerts, me and 3 other people in the dark with a few lights and some cameras, and I'm on Zoom like this talking to, the whole body, the recording artist's body, and it's like, wow. So they basically was like, well, it's on you, Griff. And I'm like, yeah, like what's on me? It's like, so pretty much speaking from the heart, I just, said my little piece. They said, keep it under, a minute and a half. I kept it under a minute and a half. I thanked everyone that got me to the point that I'm at, including the brothers in Public Enemy, my mom, my wife, and just the Black family, man. Just us appreciating what Public Enemy had to give, because it is a gift. It is our offering. You understand? And it was a beautiful thing. So it was a beautiful experience. So I connected with some good people even afterwards to help raise awareness on the concert halls that were open to us, regardless of whether it was trap music or classical music, R&B, neo soul, or whatever, rap, hip hop, whatever it was. Those places are suffering now. So I linked up with them to kind of help them out, raise some money, and make bring people, raise the awareness.
Yeah, those venues are suffering, and the union halls associated with them. Right, those workers, right. Yes. So we're constantly keeping them in prayer and hoping this thing will be back in motion maybe by this time next year. We don't want to rush it, but right, we need to do something to help those people in that entertainment space. Okay. But I want to talk about your since you mentioned Public Enemy, we got to talk about your early years and the whole start of Public Enemy. You played a very unique role with the group as the Minister of Information, which you don't often hear in hip hop groups. You know what I mean? So you guys had a whole group of people that made your music what it was. It wasn't just the engineers, producers, musicians, and artists. You had people like you giving cultural and information and feeding the group. So talk about the early years of Public Enemy and your role in the group.
Well, not to toot my horn, I played 3 different roles. I choreographed the shows, and a lot of people, when they think of that, they're like, we see the show, but who put that together? Yeah, that was my doing. I introduced this whole idea of what I learned from the Nation of Islam. You know, when you Saturday morning, when you in rank, you understand what I'm saying, and you getting that set of military instruction, and you're drilling to be in uniform with the next man, taking orders and knowing how to give orders and take orders. I introduced that concept. The whole idea of being taught and gave a set of instructions from Black Panthers, from the Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party. I took that and I incorporated that. And then the whole idea of how we're going to look, how we're going to enter the stage, how we're going to leave the stage, what we're going to do in a particular song, and then sitting down with Chuck and actually designing what the stage is going to look like.
Wow.
So
wow.
Choreographing the whole show is one thing. And then the whole idea of managing it, managing the brothers on the road, managing the situation, managing the threats, and then dealing with them. Everyone from white supremacists to these young white radical groups that hated Black people and, you know, whatever. Because you kind of figure out early days, we didn't perform in front of Black people. Black people was not feeling Public Enemy like that. It was all white audiences. Our first tour was we was on the Beastie Boys tour. Yeah,
wow.
I think it's the Ill or something, one of them tours. And then the third role I played, choreographing, road managing it, and then the whole idea of helping to construct as the Minister of Information to construct some of the songs as far as the information. Whether they used it or not, it was like, look, here's some cassettes, here's some VHS tapes, here's some documents from the Black Panther Party, so it was going down, blah, 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 and just fed them, and,
wow,
what it ended up being. And I think this is why other people looking from the outside in can say that man was an intricate part of those early years, those formative years of Public Enemy.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned something so interesting. You said that the audience was mainly white and that Blacks were afraid of Public Enemy. What was that all about? Because you were fighting for Black causes, correct?
They didn't look at it as Black causes back then when hip hop was hip hop. They wanted to know if your beats was fat, if your dope, if your rhymes is dope. You understand what I'm saying? And that kind of thing. So the whole idea of ushering in Black consciousness was a very difficult task. The only thing we heard at that particular point was, don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I think that was really the only thing out there. Of course, the precursor that preceded hip hop was poetry, spoken word. So we heard from Gil Scott-Heron, Last Poets, the Watts Prophets, Nikki Giovanni, and some other people, but we rarely heard consciousness in hip hop. So to establish that was a very difficult task.
Yeah. You mentioned that term consciousness, and I have to, I guess, unpack that a little more because it's a common term now, in the climate that we're in. Everybody's conscious, which is great. But give me your take on what true consciousness is. What is that? What does that involve?
True consciousness involves understanding the journey of the self through the self back to the self and everything that it encompasses, and then being awake and aware of that. In order to, when you talk about anything that's relevant to who you are as an individual and the things that you're connected to, you have to be awake and aware of these things and be able to not be selfish. To say, I'm awake and aware of what the family consists of. So then when you dialogue about what the family is, you never exclude the ancestors. You never exclude grandma. Even if grandma is not physically here with us, you never exclude grandma. You understand what I'm saying? Because our ancestors speak to us from within us. When you talk about education, you got to talk from not a branch perspective, you got to talk about from a root perspective. When you're conscious. When you're conscious, the whole idea of coincidence is a misnomer. We don't even deal with coincidence. This is not a coincidence right now. I don't know you and you don't know me. How do we end up on this podcast together? Something in the ether, that thing that connects everything else to everything else, caused you and I, our paths to cross. And then having a degree of consciousness on your end, and then having another degree of consciousness caused us to be here together right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the English language, Cornell, won't allow us to define what that thing is. For me to say the definition of consciousness is yada, 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 whoop-de-whoop, then that's not being conscious. Conscious also includes all that we know, all that we think we know, and all that we have yet to learn. Mm. Because once you say you know, then you close yourself off. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, we can talk about degrees of consciousness. You understand what I'm saying? But there's different worlds, and we operate on different levels. The crackhead probably wouldn't want to be on here. Why? Because his idea of going about his daily life is to get more crack. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? He has a degree of understanding of what that struggle is like. Is he, no, let's not get conscious, like you're conscious, confused with being contentious. Yeah. Let's not get all of those particular things confused. When you think someone is conscious, you think they understand what was, what is, and they're leaving themselves open to participate in whatever is to be. I think that's what consciousness, a degree of consciousness is.
Wow, so good. Speaking of being conscious and awakened or awoke, 2020, I think is what should have woke us all up, you know. And I have to get your take on all that's going on, but from COVID-19, the war on racism, social injustice. What do you make of what's happening this year? What do you make of it?
Well, this whole idea, I don't know who put that term among us, woke, but it's really corny, man. It really is. Because if you put up a meme on Facebook, I guess you're woke. If you give a thumbs up or a smiley face or an emoji to a song, to a Childish Gambino song, then I guess you're woke. If you know a few facts and you can regurgitate some facts on what happened to Black people during the civil rights movement, I guess you're woke. That term is really taking us off the path of consciousness, because some people are getting off at the second stop, 120 Woke Street, and they're getting off thinking that they're woke, and no, you're not. No, I don't know who put that term among us, but it's really taking us off the path. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And guess what? 2020 is testing all of that out. So how woke are you when these arguments come up on and offline, and you haven't equipped yourself to deal with the reparations argument or the question? You haven't prepared yourself to deal with, well, if Black people would stop killing Black people, then maybe white police officers would stop killing Black people.
Yeah.
That is so foolish of a notion to even entertain that madness. So you mean to tell me if white cops stop killing, if we stop killing ourselves, white people will stop killing us? So the woke people will come along and regurgitate a meme or something that they heard on the evening news or something that they heard the bobbleheads say on some of the Alphabet Boy stations. And then now you're woke? No. We're not even inviting the woke people to the conversation just yet.
Yeah. Because
you haven't equipped yourself with enough information. When I say information, trust me, I'm saying I'm including love. Not just information, not just facts that you can regurgitate. Because in order for you to sit down at the table, you got to truly love who you are and truly love our people and understand the struggle. Not where we are, not where we've been, but have an idea of where you would like, what's the end game?
Yeah.
And the woke people are walking around with the t-shirt and the bumper sticker And they're throwing this whole thing out of whack. It's like, no, because I see people speaking up for us that really need to sit down and go back to the classroom, for real, bro. For real, they really do. If you walking around talking about all lives matter, sit your ass down. Sit down, because no lives are going to matter until Black lives matter. All lives. All lives, people ain't even thinking about you. They never thought about your Black life. That's why we do what we have to do. That's why we have to push it in their face and ram it down their throat. You understand what I'm saying? Because if all lives matter, we wouldn't have to protest.
That's right.
We would get the same treatment as Dylan Ruth got when they come to arrest us. If all lives really matter. No, we didn't get the trip to Burger King, man. We didn't get the trip. We got a trip to the morgue, man.
My goodness. You said a lot, but I've got to tap into, since we're dealing with these social and racial injustices, I got to tap into the story of Breonna Taylor with you. We've seen, I think everybody by now should have seen what the outcome of that has been. What are your thoughts?
That was a quick question. I thought you were going to go into it, but I said,
Take you a drink. Take you a drink.
If you would have asked me this a few weeks ago, yeah, you would have got a whole bunch of expletives. But since aspects of the story has come out, and I'm able to sit back now and say, oh, I didn't know that. So that makes sense now when this happened and that happened. And then even with the Negro who came to give us the full range of what's going to happen to the police officers, even right on up to him having a white wife and a white girl and all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, wow, see, now it makes sense. Now it really truly makes sense, and I'm tying it all together. So you sleeping in your bed, 12, 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning, someone kicks down your door, never announcing themselves, coming with guns blazing, and you're not supposed to defend yourself? So since then, I've actually sat down with these people.
The USCCA.
Why you should join the USCCA. Because sooner or later, we're going to have to defend ourselves, and then someone has to defend us in court. Because some of us are not just going to sit back and let whomever kick down our door with a no-knock warrant. I don't care what your business is there. You understand what I'm saying? And then turn around and lie and say you did knock and you did announce yourself, which is a bold-faced lie. That brother had no warrants, never been to jail, never got in any trouble, and was a legal gun owner. He was a legal gun owner. I'm going to say that one more time for the Negroes out there. He was a legal gun owner. So for him to hear somebody kicking the door down and him thinking that he's firing on someone breaking in, brother, listen to me, Cornell, then got on the phone for 2 minutes and 42 seconds with 911 to have a full conversation. He says, look, I don't know who's breaking in. They shot my girlfriend, blah, 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 blah. And if he knew it was police, he would have told 911. Well, hell, how come 911 didn't tell him?
Yeah.
So you sleeping, someone kicks your door in, you fire on them. And then when they walk you out backwards, they threaten to stick a dog on you. And then when they finally interviewed him, they said, are you shot? Did you see the recent thing that came out?
No, I didn't see that.
Body cam caught the whole conversation. I guess the detective left it on. He says, well, are you shot? He says, no. Oh, he said, wow, you should be. You're lucky.
Wow.
I said, wow. And then when he made his statement to the press, he was basically saying they wanted me to make a statement saying that Breonna Taylor was a drug dealer, was running drugs for her boyfriend who was already in custody. That she was running a drug ring to cover up the murder of Breonna Taylor. Before anyone got arrested, they arrested 30 of our brothers and sisters who went to protest to sit on the lawn of the Attorney General. They got arrested. So months and months and months went by before they even recognized the fact that there was even a crime. Matter of fact, I want to go out on the limb and say this. Go look at the report that the police officers wrote up. They said no one was hurt. That's what they said, that no one was hurt at this particular crime, this scene.
And not only was somebody hurt, they were dead.
And didn't release the information to her mom when her mom showed up on the scene.
Oh my goodness.
Sent her mother away to the hospital while her body was in there. Wait a minute. While they were there on the scene, Breonna Taylor was still alive. And they let the woman die. Wait a minute. The gunfight didn't take place inside of the apartment. So if the gunfight took place and the gentleman that they are bringing up on short for 4 counts of warrant on whatever he's charged with, this gentleman was outside of the apartment shooting through the sliding doors, and there was a curtain up. And he's shooting through there. So when he get charged, no one got charged for Breonna Taylor's murder as of yet.
No.
But he gets charged for shooting at the white folks' apartment.
Wow. Wow.
I'm like, wow. And they wonder why we stay angry? So check this out. So if you go back and look at all of the footage on who was burning the city down, it was white people. So there's this dynamic going on. Some white people are joining together with some black people under the banner of Black Lives Matter, who is financed by George Soros. Real people are coming out to protest for real issues, but the protest is getting hijacked. So when you start to see the news, you don't even see black people. You saw white people in Kentucky during the George Floyd thing. You saw white people in Portland. You've seen white people in North Carolina, and Charlotte, and other places. And we're starting to see this now, so they hijacked the protests. Bricks were provided. Gasoline was provided. Matches were provided. Well, where are we getting these things from? That ain't black people's MO. Provided and financed by George Soros. So now, last point. You seen your man, 46 minus 1, in the debate last night. He basically gave the go-ahead to the Proud Boys to keep doing what you're doing. He refused to speak to these white supremacist groups that are out there. He literally gave them the green light. So now the Proud Boys are fighting Antifa. White on white crime at its best. White boys walking down the street with AK-47s and AR-15s now in a black protest. Killing other white people. But that ain't white on white crime. Let that have been a brother walking down the street with an AR-15. They would have shot him on the spot.
Absolutely.
See, they get a certain kind of privilege that we don't receive. They get a certain pass from white police officers. So my take on the Breonna Taylor's assassination, we should never stop, man. We should never stop until we get justice. And as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said in her monumental book, The ISIS Papers, we have to dismantle racism, white supremacy, and replace it with a system of justice for us all.
Absolutely. I've got to dig into that point of being hijacked, the protests being hijacked. What is the big picture? Why is that the platform that they want to use is that just something they are using to, I guess, push their own motive or agenda?
What's getting the most attention right now is the protest. It's the Black Lives Matter banner. The Black Lives Matter they need a banner to use as and even right now they need a theme song. Look, this is Hollywood at its best, man. They need a banner, they need a slogan, they need some key figures. Rather than them apologizing to Colin Kaepernick, they rather prop up some Negroes. They even manufactured a few to put out there in front of the people, but the people recognized he wasn't part of the people, so they pulled them back. I'm not mentioning any names. So I'm saying to you, what's the theme song now? Several groups have stepped up to the plate and tried, but it's not working. This is a real protest. Real people are shedding real blood. Real people are going to jail, and real people are going to the grave and to the morgue. So they're not playing games with this one. So you trying to regurgitate some old ass rapper to come talk about what's going on, and they outdated. You trying some new white ones to come along and sing the anthem? That's not gonna work. You're not part of this movement. We don't know you. What you doing up on the block with new clothes on? You understand what I'm saying? You don't come to the protest with new clothes on. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where's your I'm about to get it in clothes? Where's your marching boots? Where's if I go to jail tonight, I go to jail tonight. Where's them clothes at? You're not wearing them clothes. You know why? They're installing you and interjecting you for a minute, and then your PR is gonna give you a call on your cell phone when to get out.
Yep.
Faking the revolution. Revolution is complete, constructive, conscious, cosmic change. Who's bringing about a real, truly, true mind revolution right now? So I just say, well, look, let NFAC do what they're doing. Let the Huey P. Newton Gun Club do what they're doing. Let the white protesters, Antifa, and the rest of them do what they're doing. Let Black Lives Matter do what they're doing. So let's pull back and let's start playing chess instead of checkers. But you got to know the rules of revolution. You got to know the rules of engagement. You coming on a damn basketball court with a goddamn tennis racket, you don't know the rules of engagement, man. I'm sorry. No, you don't.
My. You mentioned the debate from last night, and I intentionally did not watch because I just felt like it was going to be a train wreck. But give us your commentary. What did you take from it?
Two old dudes sitting on the porch arguing, and nothing really came out of it. It's like every issue, Trump was being very disrespectful. But he was cutting off Biden because Biden wasn't saying anything. Then it got personal, and Biden got hood on him, called him a straight up clown. Oh, he called him a clown.
So Biden went there, huh?
Yeah, he actually went there. It's just basically like, look, listen, Biden's track record is a scorched track record when it comes to black people. He was responsible for the crime bill to help put millions, I can say millions since then, away. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, did us in. So for him to turn around now and act tough, and then turn around and go get a black woman as though that's going to balance things out because you want the black vote, and then secretly finance strippers from Atlanta to come do a commercial. You know you dead ass wrong. We're not falling for it, man. We're not falling for it. So I don't want black people to think you have to vote. Hold your vote. Go to the polls and write someone's name in. You put Flavor Flav or somebody, because that's what you about to get.
I know many. I know many are cringing at that statement, and because they just want to get who's in the seat out, with the hope of getting someone better to work on our agenda. But
can we press the pause button right there? I don't want you to forget your point. We just had 8 years of Barack Obama, and I'm going out on a limb by saying this. But so what do we get? Your man was in the seat. What do we get though? So I want to ask people seriously: if there's not an educational component that's happening on the home, family level, barbecue, barbershop, church level, stay your behind home. Don't vote. Because where's the education? You just going to do what? What you going to do? All our ancestors died and I'm exercising. Stop that. What ancestors? No, I'm going out on the limb and say, well, what ancestors? Where's my phone? My phone number is 678-557-2919. Before, during, or after this interview, you can call me and tell me what ancestors fought, bled, and died. I know there were some of the ones that fought. I know a few that bled. Which ones died that we can vote?
So my question to you is, does it Are you, I ain't gonna say afraid, but are you concerned about who's in office getting another 4 years? Does that concern you at all?
It don't concern me. Them other people are not concerned with it. Them other people that got Little Italy, Chinatown, and all these other places, are they concerned? They're not concerned. They do their business because their thing is intact. We're the only ones that's concerned about that. You a Democrat or a Republican, two wings of the same damn bird. Too scared to even think of the idea of a third party. Too scared to think of an idea of voter blocks. You understand what I'm saying? That we can move some things, but I'm seeing Negroes being trotted out on these commercials, voting for Trump. Stop that. Give me a list of things that Trump has actually did for us and promised that he will do for these next 4 years. Unless you diamond and silk, yeah, stop the madness, man. But see what that they get clowns and comedians and ball players and jugglers. And yeah, no.
Yeah.
No.
You mentioned Little Italy, Little China, and all that. What are we not doing that they are doing? What are we missing? Why can't we have Little Africa? What are we missing?
The thing that we're missing, and I know you're gonna take offense to this, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it. That Negro element, the bougie ones among us, we need to get rid of that element and neutralize them. All right, so we can get some things done. The idea of walking in Professor Griff's home, if you don't see a library, it's a problem. If you don't see a Black History book, it's a problem. If you don't see a red, black, and green flag, it's a problem. You understand what I'm saying? Why are we so afraid to talk about who we are? Even when we talk about the history of who we are as a people, how come it only starts at 1619? It never starts at 1555 and beyond. So we need to have the discussion about a real, true Black history. And we don't need to worry about who's going to approve it. We approve this message. You understand what I'm saying? Why don't we have a curriculum with that involves African history? We learn European history. Why don't we ever speak about all of the spiritual concepts and things that we've carried over on the slave ships? Why don't we ever talk about the people that was here before the slave trade? Why don't we ever talk about our greatness and then keep it intact? So then 3 generations from now, we could have an African town. You understand what I'm saying? Why not even begin to have the dialogue? Why? I mean, I see Malcolm on the t-shirt. I see Malcolm on the bumper sticker. I even see a Malcolm X, get together every now and then, a Malcolm X day, Marcus Garvey day, but we don't carry into principles what those men have given us. That's what the issue is, bro. So when we do come together, yeah, even with religion, what happened to those ancient spiritual practices? You understand what I'm saying? I wrote in my book, A Warrior's Tapestry, about putting together, hold on one second. Let me snatch it. Hold on. Don't go on now.
I'm here. If you're just tuning in, we have Professor Griff, former member of Public Enemy, now lecturer, writer.
I end up snatching the wrong book. I end up snatching a book I just bought, White Fragility.
Oh, I saw that. That's written by a white woman.
So hard for white people to talk about racism, but we'll talk about that later. Hold on. I wrote in this book, in one of the first couple of pages, I talk about us building an altar. This is my book, A Warrior's Tapestry. I put this together for the Cornells of the world, so you can help your nephew and your cousin and your son, all right, go from boyhood to manhood and get those valuable lessons. Early on in the book, first couple of pages, I talked about building an altar.
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me when your grandma, you knew your grandmother, right?
Yes.
Remember back in the day when your grandma had the pictures over the fireplace with the candle and the fruit? That was the altar.
Yeah. And you didn't touch it.
Right. You didn't touch it. You went and looked at the pictures and whatever. And grandma was the only one that could light the candle and say the prayer. Where is that altar at today? Where is the photo album that used to have at your house on the coffee table?
It's in your cell phone now. We screw.
Exactly. When you went and you look and you got invited over to the chick's house and you sat in the living room waiting for her to come out of the back room, and you was thumbing through the photo album. You said, "Damn, her brother's kind of buff. I better do this one right." You understand what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing, man, to keep those things in place. To make a long story short and a short story shorter, we hid those principles and those spiritual practices inside of what we were allowed to do on the plantation. So you not only had the Methodist Church, you had the African Methodist Church. You had the African so-and-so church, or the African, and we hid those principles and those spiritual practices inside of whatever religion that the white man would allow us to practice. You understand what I'm saying? So in me growing up, met this bad chick. I'm like, this, yada, yada, yada. We exchanged numbers and whatever. Sister invited me to her house. I'm sitting down and I'm looking at up at the fireplace at the pictures. Guess what I saw? A relative of mine. I'm like, who is this right here? Oh man, that's my great auntie. And I'm like, man, I'm out of here, man. I was related to the sister, man. You know that's dangerous.
And it probably happens more often than we think.
And we don't even know, because what they did to us in the Ma'afa and capturing us and bringing us through that experience, coming here and mixing us up and breeding us. You understand what I'm saying? I was about to end up dating my cousin, bro.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that book, the other book, White Fragility. I saw that and I hadn't purchased it yet. Have you gotten through it?
No. I sat in the audience. I think it was last year, and they were going over the book, and then I saw some things online, and I said, yeah, I have to get this, because the whole idea of talking about race, you and I, it'll be cool, but we need to leave the back and the front and the side door and the window open in case white people want to listen in. Because until we have that conversation with them, yeah, a lot of this is not going to stop, bro.
Yeah.
We need white people to understand something. We don't need you coming in our organization telling us how to respond to your devilishment. What we need you to do is go back and talk to your white relatives. So the first conversation we're going to have is Without Sanctuary. Have you heard of that book?
No.
Without Sanctuary. Without Sanctuary. This gentleman collected all of those postcards and those pictures of lynchings and burnings, whether they cut off our fingers, our noses, our penises, whatever, and kept them as souvenirs. This brother put all of those pictures in a book called Without Sanctuary. Why isn't that book in every black household? You understand what I'm saying? So we just want to forget because it's painful. I say, no, let's not forget. Let's use it as a valuable teaching lesson and teaching tool, and then never forget. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's some other people out there that went through a traumatic history. They'll never let you forget. They build monuments and buildings and statues and television shows and history channels and discovery channels around the shit. For real.
And in some cases will dismantle you if you speak against it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
About it with a negative tone. Or compare yours to it. Or just use yours as an example to what you're going through. Oh yeah, they'll do you in, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Since we're there, we got to talk about that. I know you already know where I'm going. The infamous interview that took place some months ago now with Nick. You sat down with him and some dialogue was exchanged, and it was great conversation, but it wasn't received well by the powers that be, if you will. Take us back to that moment in that conversation. What do you recall, and why did that experience end the way it did, you think?
Wow. That was a beautiful day. That was a beautiful conversation with a beautiful black man. That was beautiful, man. And I'm watching the young brother because he's 20 years my junior. And I'm watching him light up when he gave the information. I'm like, wow, this brother got it, man. And inside, I'm rooting for him. I'm like, okay. Because if you watch it, I'm kind of subdued. I'm laid back. I'm like, okay. And keep in mind, that was for his class.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get a chance. I saw it when you saw it. I didn't see it. I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm participating in it. But that was his intellectual property. So he released it when he wanted to release it. So, but yet I left there like it was a normal conversation that two people would have. Two black men would have in the barbershop, whatever. Mm-hmm. I didn't really think anything of it. Did I hear some things that I needed to correct or check? No. Brother laid it out. You understand what I'm saying? So now I was just meeting him that weekend. So I didn't really know him. And didn't really fully get a chance to really get to know him because this thing happening. But the day before that, I shot my piece for the Dr. Sebi documentary film. And then that same day, I think I did Wildin' Out.
Oh, sweet.
Right. So I walked away after the few days I was with him. And I didn't think anything of it, bro. I was just... So then when it came out, and I started hearing all of this rumbling, and I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, wow. So I start to see that they was coming at the brother, and I'm calling him, trying to reach him, and I couldn't get him. I'm like, wow. And then he said what he said, and the first stance he took is like, I'm not apologizing. Apologize for what? I told the truth. I just spoke truth. And then I think a few hours later, he ended up issuing a written apology. Mm. And that's the first time I said, whoa, hold up. Because he mentioned my government name. And with your government name, we don't do that. I'm from New York. Now, we don't do that. Yes, I'm saying? You breaking the code when you do that. So I'm like, okay, he not from New York. He don't know how we get down. Yeah, but so I gave that a pass. And then I'm seeing him saying he kind of misspoke and the information was kind of, I'm like, huh? Nah, don't do that to the ancestors. So, but I didn't speak ill of the brother. And I'm not going to speak ill of the brother right now because brother has growing to do. But I do respect the fact that he said to them, well, if I was wrong, show me where I was wrong. I'm open to learn. Show me. And they really still haven't done that. The most that they can muster up is that he hurt their feelings. And I'm here to tell the world, you can take everything that Nick Cannon said and you can ask me, whether it's on this platform, in person or whatever, and I'll give it to you. But they don't want to do that because I've been battling with these people for 30 years and they want me to buckle and fold and apologize and bend. You out your goddamn mind. You'll be waiting forever for that apology. Me apologizing is like spitting in the face of my ancestors. You out your damn mind. Mm. I'm never going to apologize for the truth. Can you imagine that? Mm. I tell you what, and I'm going to say this. I'll apologize right after you apologize to black people for what you've done to black people. Apologize for your participation in the slave trade and everything that you stole from us. Apologize for every black woman that's been raped since then. And even then, apologize for every black woman that rather than go into slavery, jumped overboard on the ships. All right. Return all of the diamonds, the gold, the precious minerals. Apologize for stealing the land here and there. So if you apologize for that, then maybe I'll apologize. I'll think about it.
Wow. You mentioned the
10 million people that Leopold butchered to death in the Congo. Come on now, apologize for the 600 million we lost in the Middle Passage coming to America. Come on now.
My. You mentioned Hollywood earlier in our conversation. Of course, we had to revisit that with the subject of the conversation with Nick and what happened with him. we have this idea of Hollywood, and then we have this Black Hollywood. I have a question, and I want to know, just from your vantage point, when we rise in power in Hollywood specifically, is it possible to do so on your own merit, or do you have to, get to a commercial? Are you only able to get to commercial success by way of,
Yeah.
What it is?
I really think we need to have a real conversation about that. And I know you're looking at me like, well, shit, you on my show. This is real. Talk to me, man. Am I able to be open and just kind of real with you?
Do it.
I don't know where my book is, but I wrote two books. The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop. Did you see it?
I haven't read it, but I did see it.
Hold on 1 second, man.
Go get it.
You making me go to the library, bro.
We need that.
So since we're being very real, I talked about that in my book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop. The psyche being the soul, the ology being the study of the soul, not the study of the mind. The Western world teaches us the psyche has to do with the mind. No, it has to do with the soul. They stole this concept from ancient Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But if you're talking about this psychological covert hidden war on hip hop, higher infinite power healing our people, I talked about Hollywood. I talked about the trappings in Hollywood. Then I came back with book 2 because they burned my house down with this book in my computer. So I had to go back and talk to the people that filmed the lectures that I was doing, because this book was in the computer when they burned my house down. So I got the information back. They ended up getting so much that I put together book 2.
Symbolic.
And I laid out the symbology that's there in Hollywood. I just happened to turn to this page 252. The worship of Saturn and the black cube. You could go to Acts 7:4-3. But when you talk about the black cube, right? What is the black cube symbolic of? Well, you've graduated high school, right?
Absolutely.
You wore the cap and gown.
Absolutely.
You wore the black cube on your head, right? The circle within a square.
Mm.
You adorned yourself in the black robe, right? Black is a symbol of authority, but they won't teach us that. If you look up black in the dictionary, black is evil, wicked, dismal, right or wrong.
That's right.
They revere black. All of the important events, as Dr. Francis Cress Welsing teaches us, they wear black, right?
That's right.
And then I get into penis envy and all this other kind of stuff that Dr. Francis Cress Welsing gives. But I broke down the symbology. All right. When you were in school, right? You used a number 2 pencil, right? And they taught you penmanship with a number 2 pencil. Why a number 2 pencil? What did you?
I don't know.
The number 2 pencil represents the wand, the magic wand, and the wood that they used at that particular time was called the holly wood.
Wow.
Where you wrote after penmanship, they taught you how to write in cursive. Well, now you got a magic wand writing in cursive, casting spells because they taught you how to spell. It's all black magic. Wand, spells, casting curses and spells on people in Hollywood. I tied it all together in these 2 books and broke down Hollywood. So to answer your question directly, what is wrong with us entertaining the idea that we have allies there in Hollywood and we can connect with these particular individuals to help sustain a true and real black Hollywood? What's wrong with that? Because we do have allies. We truly do. If we would just recognize the fact that we do. Some of them, if Ian called me, Professor Griff, man, I saw the thing with Nick Cannon. I saw the thing with D.L. Hughley. I kind of know your story, man. I know the Public Enemy thing and blah, 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 blah. You have a story to tell, man. Let me write the script for you and blah, 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 blah. And let's see if we can get a deal and blah, 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 blah. They not afraid. They said, shit, if they don't do nothing else to respect the fact that we can make $1 from it, let's make some money. I'm like, well, let me think about it, man. Because you talk about my intellectual property now. You talk about my life story. You understand what I'm saying? Who could tell, what would that story sound like, the Public Enemy story, through the lens of a revolutionary militant brother like Professor Griff, who never sold out? Oh, that's a damn story to tell, bro, for real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there could be a true Black Hollywood for real if we learn to, play chess instead of checkers, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You talk about being on the front line and being a revolutionary, and you've been one for many years. I've got to ask, what sparked this interest in information and knowledge, and where did that come from?
To be honest with you, my mom and Chuck's mom saw the need to put us in a program. It's called the African American Experience at Hofstra University. And guess who it was taught by? Ex-Black Panthers.
Wow.
So we got that experience. You know, I learned to play the djembe. I learned some African dialogue, the 1,000 different languages that's there on the African continent. We wore the dashikis. We did the African dance. We learned the traditions. We did the thing. You understand what I'm saying? We learned these concepts. It was beautiful, man. And we went there year after year after year. So it was in us. And then growing up in the 60s, I was born 1960, August 1st. To see the Black Panther Party, I was like, man, them brothers are strong, man. My mama put me in the cadets. And then I was in the junior FOI when the Nation of Islam was doing the thing in the first resurrection under the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I was enamored with the fact that discipline, information, being studious, being clean, being warrior-like. You understand what I'm saying? And that's when I think I got the phone call from the creator, and I answered it, and I've been on that path ever since, man.
Wow,
so I had Guevara on the wall. I had Fidel Castro on the wall. I had the Mau Mau on the wall. I had the Zulu on the wall. I had the Black Panther Party on the wall. I listened to The Last Poets and Gil Scott-Heron. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, Steve Biko.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there, bro. I was there.
Well, you mentioned Chuck D, who is the founder of Public Enemy. I'm curious if you guys were just starting out now as teenagers in 2020, when we're in, what do you think you guys would have done differently with the group?
That is an interesting question. And it's very difficult for me to answer that at 60 years old now, because Public Enemy, when I did the Public Enemy thing and establishing that, I was in my 20s. So I went gung-ho, not even thinking I'd live past, 30. So it was a different kind of mindset. Doing it all over again at 60. I would probably from the outstart, I would end up slapping the shit out of a few people, personally speaking, just from the rip, walking through the door, recognizing the coonism, recognize Uncle Tomism, just recognize the way you dress, man. Pow, get out of here. Because I know you're going to sell me out in a minute. Getting rid of them Negroes from the rip. You understand what I'm saying? And just kind of doing things just a little bit different, man. Not giving so many people a pass that I gave a pass. I don't know whether I was going to end up. I don't know if I was going to end up dead or in jail. You understand what I'm saying? Back then. But I risked it. I risked it all. I risked my house getting burned down, getting shot at, and getting poisoned. I risked all of that. Would I do anything different today to to get a different kind of response? I'd probably be more radical. To know that they put crack on us and they put AIDS on us and 2 million of us are sitting in prison, yeah, I'd be a lot more radical, bro. This is the calm, tame, older Professor Griff that you're seeing right now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? That's my
Yeah.
wife. Hold on for a second.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Peace, Queen. Yeah, I'm still. Hold on. I'm still doing my interview.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nah, no problem. Cornell said peace.
What's up?
You want your dinner down there while you do your interview?
Yeah, I'll take the dinner down here. Thank you very much.
Okay, love you.
Love you too. Peace. But you see, I'd want to be a free black man to meet a free, beautiful black woman like that. I want people to be able to see how we interact. I want people to see, because she's more radical than I am, but I want people to see black love in its finest. You understand what I'm saying? I want people to be able to see and experience that. And you talking about an artist that can spit. Did you see our video that we did together recently?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Come on, bro. People need to see that to say, you know something, man, that's beautiful the way they interact with one another. You understand what I'm saying? Younger couples need to see that.
Absolutely.
Because right now, and be honest with me, who's the last person you heard talk about sexually transmitted diseases and AIDS and all this other stuff that's running rampant in the black community?
Not nobody recently.
Thank you. What happened to that conversation? Thank you. So the food looks good. I can see the love in it already.
Yeah, you asked for a vegan.
That's right,
Joe.
man.
That's what you wanted.
She said, what do you got a taste for? I said, man, I've been having a craving for a sloppy Joe. And she made a vegan one.
Is it made with the jackfruit?
Jackfruit. She got some pasta happening on the side with some kale and some.
Do you have something?
Do I have something to drink? That's the man cave free. You don't supposed to touch that. See how black people act. But not, I have something to drink. Yeah, thanks. Okay. But anyway, bro, it's beautiful when you can get that, but you get it with love. Mm-hmm. You taste the love in every bite, for real.
Absolutely. You got to talk about the vegan. You're a vegan, 60 years old, looking like you're 30.
Yeah, no, I'm moving like I'm 30. I'm ready for it, man. Come on now.
But talk about black folks, us, and our diet. And I realize not everybody's going to be a vegan. Not everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon. But what can we do differently, and why should we be doing things differently with our diet?
Let me answer the why first. First of all, we're going to change the language. We're not going to call it a diet. We're going to call it a live it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We're not going to die for it.
Wow.
We're going to put living food in a living body. Mm-hmm. All right? In the scripture, if it talked about us living, Methuselah lived to be almost 1,000. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with that concept? What's wrong with living instead of dying? What's wrong with putting living food in a living body? You understand what I'm saying? Why should we do it? Because we're in love with ourselves. Mm-hmm. I hear a lot of people talking about they love the Lord, but do you love you? The most important person in your life, Cornell, is who?
Me. Exactly.
So let's start there and work our way out. You understand what I'm saying? I want to see you live, because the divinity in me salutes and celebrates the divinity in you. I want to see you live to be old.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you decide to check out of here, you say, okay. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? But we should do it for all of the reasons that everyone has talked about our greatness in the annals of history and in time. Mm-hmm. They spoke about us. You understand what I'm saying? And when we walked, like the pyramids used to have a casing around it where you could see it for thousands of miles away, it glowed at night. Black people used to glow, man. When you saw us, we glowed. We like something with them people. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the reason why we should do it, because we're the original people. We everybody's mommy and daddy, man. We got to show everyone else. You understand what I'm saying? For real.
Yeah.
So we went through a period, though, that brought us down to that level. Black Dot in his book, Hip Hop Decoded, says they take the lowest essence of what we have to offer in the culture and give it maximum exposure. So they'll see us strippers, and they'll see us gangbanging, they'll see us pimping, and they'll see us, whatever, and eating bad food and licking our fingers doing it. I said, well, we went through that period. Our ancestors had to do that to make it through that period so we can get to this point. All right. But we're wise scientists now. We've grown up. We know a lot more. Let's eat better and do better.
Talk about your transition. Did you grow up in that type of household where you guys ate vegan, or?
No, my mom was a country girl, man, from West Virginia, bro. My mom was that chick that you'd be amazed at seeing, because my mom was short and built, real African woman. You understand what I'm saying? If you would see my oldest daughter now, that's my mom.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So nah, man. My mom served every part of the pig, including the oink. My mom fried the oink. But my two brothers, Anwar and my brother Michael, they were in the first resurrection of the Nation of Islam. And when they brought that information home, yeah, I ended up joining the nation in the first resurrection, and I put all that to rest, man. But I've never smoked. I've never took a drink. You understand what I'm saying? I never did any kind of drug. I've never smoked anything.
Wow.
I'm proud to say that, man.
Yeah, and that is a big thing to say, especially being in Hollywood and entertainment for as long as you've been, you know, because people always have this association that in the entertainment industry it's all automatically associated with drugs, alcohol, sex,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So to have been in that industry as long as you have and have that testimony, I think it's remarkable.
And that's what I pass on to young brothers. And I let them know I survived it. I was the dude with $3,000-$4,000 in his pocket on stage with chicks pulling my pants leg and wanting to do whatever I wanted to do. I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. I didn't leave babies in different cities and that kind of thing. I'm not saying the other ones did, but I'm saying I just wasn't one of them dudes.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
on a mission.
I want to talk hip hop with you because you're a hip hop.
On that point, the woman I'm married to now, I met in 1989. Because she was a young teenager, I took the position as her big brother, looking out for her in the industry. And then we connected 27 years later.
Wow. So was that transition awkward for her, or you going from big brother to now boyfriend?
But we were in touch, but we never really interacted because you remember she was married and then I was married twice. So yeah, no, we was cool. We stayed in touch. How you doing? You good? You safe? Whatever. All right, cool. You need me? Call me. Yeah.
Wow. So in respect of hip hop, and I want to ask you this because you are have studied,
because I don't want that food to get cold right there. But
you've studied hip hop. You've been an artist. I want to just understand, how did hip hop become this global phenomenon that it is? It seems like since you guys started, and now hip hop has become something that not only blacks but whites, and it's a global phenomenon. How did it become that from your vantage point?
It became that simply because when we constructed it, we based it on the 4 fundamental elements of the universe: the earth, air, fire, and water. We established hip hop with DJing and the MC and breakdancing and graffiti writing, which we attached to the 4 elements, something very natural. And then we added the 5th element, which is knowledge of. You understand what I'm saying? And we glued it all together. So then when we took the big black pot and we started putting everything that we wanted hip hop to be made up of, we stirred the pot. It included everything. So everyone was attracted to this thing that we made and created. And everyone was drawn to it. It had a magnetism that it drew the pop artists. It drew the classical artists. It drew the jazz artists. It drew gospel in. It pulled R&B in. You understand what I'm saying? And everyone wanted to taste what this thing is like. It says, yo, this is dope. You understand what I'm saying? I get to do that, and that. Oh, man, I'm in.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So it was a beautiful thing. The house of hip hop. It's a beautiful thing that drew everybody in and everybody was comfortable.
Wow. You guys have made a mark on the industry, and we appreciate what you've done. I've got to ask one last question before we get out of here. You had a class recently on the survival preparedness class. Give us some tips on what we are surviving and how we should prepare.
Well, let's start out by saying this. It's not a question of if, but when it's coming. This COVID-19 thing, the plan or scamdemic, is a test So not only did I teach how we should take care of ourselves, put living food in a living body, and those necessary herbs that we need to pull up out of the ground to stay healthy. All right. I talked to the brothers about protecting the home. All right. About getting certified on the range, and then teaching your wife and your children. I also talked about building a pantry. What should we put in the pantry? All right. We talked about firearms. We talked about stocking food. All right. We're talking about securing the home. All right. We're talking about those modes of transportation when the grid shuts down. Do you understand what I'm saying? We talk in terms of what we should do when the Civil War happens, and it's happening right now as we speak. It's happening right in front of us. So what should we do when these things happen? You understand what I'm saying? It was a beautiful class. Hold on, let me just plug this back up because my thing is dying. It was a beautiful, beautiful class, man. I had some firearm instructors come talk to them. I had a woman come on to talk about firearms for women in an all women's class that she has. We talked about the law in every city. We talked about food storage. We talked about water storage. We talked about how you're going to operate when the cell phone towers get shut off, when there's no ATM machine. We talked about first aid. You understand what I'm saying? We talked about this thing I created called the Black Pack. It's called a bug out bag. It's a bug out bag. The Black Pack, you got to put everything in the Black Pack that you're going to need to survive for 72 hours to 2 weeks. Keep it in the front closet by the front door. When you got to get out, throw it over your shoulder, grab your family and go. So we covered it all, man. I'm doing class number 2 in November. Yes.
Wow. Bring a little clarity. So what are we preparing for, a complete shutdown?
When you say complete shutdown, what do you mean? Because God is not going to shut down.
Well, no, not God, but like the systems of our world, the algorithms and all of that.
You mean when their system collapses? That's what we're preparing for. We're preparing for when they're no longer able to be in the sunlight. We're in the sun. Yeah, that's what we're preparing for.
Wow.
We're preparing for when...
Go ahead.
We've lived out our usefulness for them. There's no more cotton to pick. We're picking electronic cotton right now. When they no longer need us, we're going to be forced to need one another. And this, I'm going to have to share this with 3 or 4 other people.
Yeah.
On my pasta, vegan.
Yes, sir. All right,
Cornell,
Griff,
good, bro.
I appreciate you. Enjoy your meal. I'll be in touch, and thank you so much for joining me, sir.
Give thanks. If people want to donate to support independent Black media, they can do so by hitting my Cash App, $ Professor Griff, or just go to my website, www.professorgriff.me. Support independent Black media. All right?
Absolutely.
Love you to
life. You have a good show tonight.
Give thanks. I want to borrow that $1 million smile you got one day.
I got you.
All right, man.
Take care.
Peace.